Hola patrons! Thank you very much for your support in January. I have January's bonus article for you, and it's a bit of an experiment where instead of the usual tips article, I've created a one-page basic village generator. And what my idea is here is that you can use the different tables on this generator to quickly come up with a village or a small settlement or maybe even a small town on the fly at the game if the characters suddenly decide to seek out civilization and catch you unexpectedly. So you can download the PDF and print it out. And this is what it looks like here. And I've designed it with a bit of a flow in mind. So it starts out in the top left corner with the village outer defense. And so you can roll whether the village has any defenses and if it has a wall or if it's just some local nasty creatures that are roaming around that are the natural hazard that the villagers rely on, or perhaps there's ditch and stakes. And so there's various entries on that table, D12, or you can just choose. And so that's like your first impression of the village. That is what the characters would see from a distance, or if they have an aerial viewpoint, they can look down, and that might be their first impression. The next table is how the village is governed. So governance is really important in civilization because it sets the tone and the mood and the atmosphere of the settlement. And so if you know, for example, that the village is governed by druids versus a reincarnated leader, I feel that the role-playing and the gameplay style would be completely different between those two settlements. So if you like, you can roll or pick on the governance table. And then next we have the village economy, and this is how it makes a living. And I think you can infer from your role or from what you choose on this table how wealthy the village is. And again, this is a way to create not the same village twice, so you can have an infinite number of interesting villages that play a little bit differently each time. And then there's village locations. And so this is a D20 table. I got away from the D12 that I was using for the rest of the tables because I had more locations to choose from. But the locations is not necessarily you would roll one time on it, unless you're looking for an idea for an encounter location, but instead you would use all of these locations and basically strike out the ones that you don't want to use for each village. So this gives you 20 instant places in your village minus the ones that you don't feel are appropriate for your village. Then the second row here, so that was the top row, so you're reading from left to right. So the second row here is more about what the gameplay is like in the village, what kind of encounters are possible in the village. And so I started out with legends. And so what are some of the history and the rumors and what the villagers talk about and care about and fear that might get the characters hooked into exploring the village more for you. And so I've got the Headless Axeman and the Harvest Demon and a few others here. So again, you can pick or roll. And so that legend, I feel, as soon as the characters enter, you can start throwing clues and hints about this legend. And maybe the time of year just happens to be perfect timing for this legend to be at its peak. Anyways, that should give you some role-playing fodder to work with. And then we have adventure locations. These are different than the village locations, which are places of business and types of dwellings. The adventure locations are areas where you might hold memorable encounters. For example, a cave. So you might roll one, you get the cave result, and you decide to put the cave on the outside of the village near the shore there. There's a haunted mansion, and so if you got that result, that might instantly give you some inspiration during the game of where to put the answer to the character's questions, such as, is there anything interesting to do in this flea-bitten town? And you can say, yes, go to the haunted mansion and get scared silly. Then we move to the next column in that row, and that's encounters, and that's D12 encounter ideas if you're just bereft of ideas and you just need something to stir the game up, to get the characters focused, maybe even to trigger the next part of your planning. You just need an encounter as the vehicle to do that. And things like a belligerent drunk, maybe he stumbles into the PCs and starts rambling about a hook that will get the characters to the next step. Or there's a diseased animal, and maybe gives you an idea of, well, why is the animal diseased? And maybe there's something deeper going on there. So you can roll on the legends and the locations and the encounters to get, I think, some quick ideas for what to do that's interesting in the village. And then the bottom one, the row here, is more about the NPCs that you'll meet, so that you can quickly roll and not get stuck if the characters start talking to people instead of attacking them. I don't know what that's like as a GM to have players who talk to characters, NPCs, instead of attack them. I joke. My players are awesome. They're purposely playing murder hobos in this campaign, but I do look forward to a little bit more role play the next campaign. All right, that's a side note. So I have interesting locations. So this is yet another place that you can have interesting encounters in your village. Things like farmers markets, gypsy camps, and whatnot. But these are more for role-playing type of encounters. Then you have villagers, and the table is villager motivations. And so I think if you roll on this, they want to win an award or they want to steal something. This casts a lens or a complexion on the encounter roleplay that you can add to it that adds more interest. Rather than the NPC just answering basic questions, if you have this secret motivation going on in the background, then suddenly you would want to portray the NPC as being suspicious or scared, or maybe very curious, maybe even wanting to take advantage of the PCs for their motivation. So roll a motivation and then role play to the motivation. That will help your role playing. Then I have bad villager traits. So not everyone is good in civilization. And so bad people, what kind of traits do they have? And this is just a quick personality generator for you. It's just D12. So they're cruel, or they're drunk, or they're rebellious. So these are just kind of global traits to help you cast the NPC to be different than the previous NPC the characters just chatted with. And then the second last table is personal effects. So this is more than just I pick their pockets, what do I find table. It's got 12 items on it, and this is an interesting item that you could use as inspiration to make something more of during the encounter. So for example, I think the most mundane thing I've got on the table here is bowl. So they've got a bowl. But if you ask yourself after you roll that or choose that entry, why is the bowl interesting right now? Why is the bowl interesting to this NPC, an important NPC? Why is the NPC carrying a bowl around? Why does he or she have a bowl? It could be maybe something that's holy. It could be valuable. It could be containing maybe a cure, or it could be containing some insects that they're capturing some deadly insects that are dangerous to local villagers. Hopefully this table gives you some inspiration of and adornments for the NPC. And then the last table is situations. So the PCs wander around your settlement. I think you should have some things already happening in some encounters as the PCs enter or trigger the encounter. And so your situations table should take care of that. So you might roll, for example, a fist fight. So the characters want to talk to the village priest. We'll work on that theme. It turns out the priest is in a fist fight. That's now more interesting and unusual than just having the church door be open and the priest standing at the altar waiting for visitors to come and interrogate him. So you can roll on the D12 situations table to occasionally make the village encounters more interesting, and you can launch encounters in media res. So this is a one-page generator. I hope you find it useful. This is an experiment, as I said. It's not just an article of tips, but it is a tool for you to add to your GM toolbox. It was fun making it, and I welcome your feedback below as to whether you would like more of these, or if you prefer more of the tips type articles that I was producing before, or if you have other suggestions as to what the patron exclusive bonus should be each month. Just leave a comment below when you have a second. Thanks.